guys, it's Jen. This is another episode of Reframing Me, and I'm your host, Dr. Jennifer Brubaker. If you are new here, welcome. Reframing Me is a space for us to come together to have conversations, to support each other as we try to figure out how to relearn how to be a mom now that our kids are teens and things are different and our roles are different. And also where we try to relearn who we are as women beyond that frame of motherhood. If you are coming back to the show, I am so grateful that y'all have come. Y'all, it is finally February. Praise Jesus. Hallelujah. We somehow made it through the 452 days of January. I mean, I don't know about you, but I feel like January, I lived like 30 lifetimes in January, but I survived. We survived. And now it is February and it's special. Today is February 4th. And I really wanted to record on February 3rd, but blah, 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 life happens. And I really wanted to record on February 3rd, but February 4th is actually kind of better because February 3rd is called Cross Quarter Day. Imbolc is what it's called. It's Celtic or Gaelic. And what it means is February 3rd, it is the cross quarter day, the midpoint between the winter solstice and the spring equinox. And so now we are February 4th. And so that means we are past the halfway point. We have made it and we are on our way to spring. And I just realized that I didn't think about all of my Australian listeners, and I have so many of y'all. And I don't mean to like rush your summer away, but I'm sorry, I just cannot with winter anymore, not on top of everything else. Now, y'all might remember back before the holidays, like probably early December, maybe, I told you that I was in a bit of an existential crisis. Like, I had bangs cut level of existential crisis. And while I have opted to keep the bangs because they're super cute, I am not keeping the existential crisis because I don't want that. I have no desire anymore. But it is winter. And this year feels like an exceptionally long winter as we are sitting here amidst political turmoil and just winter. I mean, I'm pale. I realized that this morning that I think I need to get a spray tan because I am just so pale and I just can't deal with that anymore either. But I am hanging in there. And I am doing so really, really well, I must say. Like, I'm really shockingly proud of myself considering our current world and that we did have a whole literal snow week. And I found out the other day that I am on this committee that I didn't even know I was on. And so I got an email from the dean and it was like, hey, Jennifer, we've missed you at all of the meetings. I didn't know. I didn't even know I was on this. And then, I fell. Like 2 nights ago, I fell. And I was tired and I was going to bed. And I had my routine where I had the bunny's salad. I always bring it up at night to give to her. And I set it down and I went and did something else. And then I grabbed the salad and I went to go take it into her. And a dog had left one of those little Nagla dog bone chew things on the wood floor. I know apparently there are too many critters in my house is the problem, really. And I stepped on it and I slid across the floor and I landed all crazy. And I am just so grateful that I wasn't super hurt. I mean, salad went everywhere and raspberries, and we kept stepping on them because I thought I had them all, but it was dark. And I'm just really grateful that I wasn't hurt. And I totally credit my P-Valve and the slant board that y'all know that I totally love by P-Valve and the functional fitness, because I know they always say things in workouts like, if you're stepping off a curb wrong, or if you slip down a step, or apparently when you slide across the floor on a dog bone. But it's a bit sore and I didn't run yesterday. I opted for my Peloton instead. But other than a little achy, I think that I'm good. And so I'm just grateful that it's not worse. But anyway, despite all of these things and probably about 2,000 more that I could name, I'm feeling pretty darn good. Much better than I think I do during a normal winter, let alone when I'm sitting watching, the world seemingly crumble around me. So I am not one to gatekeep. So I thought today that we're going to kind of have a two-part conversation because I think that we all could use a little bit of help sometime surviving winter. So, first, I thought that we could have a conversation about some things that I have found this year that I am using, that I am attributing my current state of emotional wellness to, in case any of y'all need a little bit of a pick me up to make it through the rest of the winter. And then the second part, we can't forget about our kids. And you may have noticed that you're not the only one who's feeling a bit wintry and icky these days. You may see your kids having a case of the second semester blues, which is actually much more common than you would realize. So, since we were talking about winter ickiness, I thought we could also talk about that too. So, first, y'all know you cannot pour from an empty cup. So let's start with us. I want to share three things that I am attributing successfully surviving January to because I'm telling you, I can totally physically and emotionally feel a difference. Now, I do everything and try everything and take any supplements or try any practices or anything that I feel like I can get a little bit extra from. Anything that I think I can optimize my happiness, my wellness, my productivity. I just try to be the best version of me. And so I like to try it all. And a lot of times I'm sure that there are things that they're not maybe working, but I'm still doing just because maybe I kind of get them all blended together and don't necessarily realize what is and what isn't. But I will say, I feel like these three things, I can feel a direct correlation from the use of them to my mood and my body feeling better. So, the first one is something that I started a few months ago. And I know that I expected that it was going to take a few months to kick in. So I'm not surprised that it didn't kind of happen right away, but it's intermittent fasting. And I can honestly say that prior to doing this, which was exactly, another reason why I guess February 4th was actually perfect to do this episode instead of February 3rd, because I did look this morning on my app, because of course I have an app to track my fast because there's an app for everything. But knowing that I was going to be talking to you about fasting this morning, I did look to see how long I'd been doing it. And oh my goodness, what are the chances? It shows that I have done 100 fasts. So today is 100 fasts. So happy 100 fasts to me. Yay. But you may have heard of intermittent fasting. Maybe you've even tried it, but I knew absolutely nothing about it other than just hearing of it prior. And I never really thought that it would be something that would be for me. Now, intermittent fasting is simply the idea of cycling between periods of eating and periods of fasting. That instead of looking at what you eat, it's more important to look at when you eat. Because the idea is that it gives your body a break from constant digestion so that it can kind of shift gears and instead focus on repair or fat burning or cell renewal. So things that are really important to how you're feeling, that it can focus on those things instead of being stuck back focusing on digesting food. Now, when we eat, our body breaks down food into glucose, which is what fuels us. It's like the gas for our body. But when we go for this extended period of time without eating, our insulin levels then drop and our body, it starts tapping into that stored fat instead for the energy to fuel us. And this metabolic switch is what makes intermittent fasting powerful. It's kind of like telling your body, hey, let's instead use up this extra energy that I've been storing for us. So now I'm not going to lie and I'm not going to pretend to not like the idea of maybe losing a few of these lovely perimenopausal pounds that I have accumulated over the last, say, 6 months to a year. But it's not why I'm doing it, because it's not just about weight loss. Intermittent fasting is actually, I started it because I looked into it, I read about it for hormonal balance. And that is obviously something that I absolutely 100% need. And so I found that it has very strong effects on cell repair and inflammation reduction, insulin sensitivity, our brain function, and even longevity. And when you're in this fasted state, your body initiates a process that's called autophagy, which is where it cleans out damaged cells and it regenerates new ones. And so it kind of keeps you healthier from the inside out. Now, like I said, I had started it because I heard about hormonal balance, but also about brain fog, which are two things that I have really been dealing with, just like I know many of you are too. I'm 48, I'm perimenopausal, and brain fog and hormonal balance seems to be just par for my daily course. And so I was kind of willing to try whatever I could to see if I could make it at least a little bit better. And the research shows that people who fast report increased energy and better mind clarity and reduce bloating and improve digestion. They say that it can help with blood sugar regulation and brain health and cognitive function, reduced inflammation, which I swear that is all I hear about lately. I did not know it was such an issue decades ago, but now I guess they found that chronic inflammation is just linked to so many diseases, and fasting helps us to lower it. And of course, then the hormone balance, because it can support growth hormone productivity. And then that's also needed for like muscle repair and for fat loss. And, it's one of those things I cannot tell you exactly why or how I'm feeling the benefits of it so much. I can tell you that the mental clarity is definitely much better. Like, I don't feel the brain fog to the degree that I had in the past. But beyond that, it's kind of like, if I know if I stopped that I would totally feel worse, but I can't tell you exactly what would feel worse, but my body just feels overall better. My head is clearer. I'm not nearly as tired as I was. Oh, and the bloating. Reading that list, the bloating, y'all, I have complained to you. I know I have so many times about my bloating, and I am not bloated anymore. I don't have that problem at all anymore. And I think that this is why. So we can add bloating onto the things that I have seen the difference from. Now, there are lots of different ways that you can fast, and you can find the one that kind of suits your lifestyle. Like my sister, she does it too, but she is much more hardcore and she is so much better about it than I am. The most popular fast is the 16 to 8 method, where you fast for 16 hours and then you eat within that other 8-hour window. This could look like, eating your first meal at noon and then finishing at 8 p.m. And this is what, now, I was going to say this is what she may do, but actually, I think she fasts longer than that. I'm super impressed by that because I think she might even go like 20 and then 4, unless I am doing something special and I'm distracted. I struggle to make it past 15 hours. So typically I aim for like a 14 to 10. I do love when I can get past that. Like today, I think I'll get past that. And so, if I can get to 15 or 15 something, that's phenomenal. I would think 16-8 would be my goal, but I'm not sure I'm ever going to reach it. Now, I know that other people, they do a 5 to 2 method, and that's where they eat normally for 5 days a week. And then on those other 2 days, they consume fewer, like minimal calories on not 2 non-consecutive days, though. And others eat then only one meal a day. So, like, they fast for 23 hours and have one big meal within an hour window. And then other people do alternate day fasting. So, like, they eat one day and then the next they fast. And, personally, for me, I cannot imagine going like an entire day. So, I know that that wouldn't work for me, but maybe that would work better for you. But the key is to listen to your body and see what works. So, maybe if you're interested in doing it, start with like a 12-hour fast and gradually increase your fasting window as you adjust to what works for you. The goal is to give your digestive system a rest so that your body can restore and your cells can regenerate. You really need to stay hydrated. Even when you're fasting, you can drink water and black coffee or tea or anything with 0 calories during your fast. And surprisingly, you're not as hungry as you would expect. If I'm thinking about it, I get much hungrier, and which is why I think that when I'm distracted or I have something to do or I'm out and around doing something, but like if I'm sitting at home, like typing and writing or grading or something at my desk, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so hungry. And I don't know if I really am or if I'm just bored. But intermittent fasting actually helps to regulate your hunger hormones. So your body eventually adapts and your cravings definitely get less. Now, I always break my fast with a protein and fruit smoothie because it's best to do it with like something that's protein heavy and with healthy fats and with fiber. They say, this helps your body, your blood sugar stable, and it prevents you from getting an energy crash. And I found that, and then I'll usually have like a protein bar. I assume I should probably be making something even healthier and more substantial, but I'm just not going to do that. So I'm good. This is working for me. But intermittent fasting is a tool that you can use to kind of help feel more energized, clear-headed, in control of your eating habits. It's amazing. So I definitely think, I know I didn't feel it for probably the first 2 months, I would say, but now we are to month 3 into 4, I guess. And I definitely can feel the difference. Now, the second thing I wanted to tell you about and share is my newest obsession. Now, I'm a supplement girl. I mean, from my collagens and my colostrums and my 3,000 different supplements that I take every day. But I will tell you, since literally, I would say the day I started adding this into my supplements, I have felt much better. Okay. So I have been walking around and evangelizing the powers of magnesium to literally anyone who will listen, because it was probably back around that same early to mid-December amidst my crisis. And let's just say I wasn't having like a real crisis. I would like to clarify for people who unfortunately suffered real crises. Like, it was in my head, existential crisis. And I happened to listen to a podcast on magnesium, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I must try this. And I am so happy that I did, because it was literally right away that I started to feel the difference. But if you are struggling with like poor sleep or muscle cramps or stress or just totally feeling wiped out or suffering from an existential crisis of your own, magnesium might be what you are missing. Now, magnesium is something that our bodies totally need in order to function, yet we actually don't produce it ourselves. And so we need to get it from our diets. But most of us are not eating enough of the foods that have it in it. So apparently, we all, or at least many of us, are deficient. And so it works like a nonstop in our bodies to have all of these different reactions and functions and make sure that our muscles and our nerves and our hearts all function smoothly. It regulates our blood sugar and our blood pressure. It helps us to build strong bones. But because of most of our diets, we don't have it. And that anxiety or insomnia or migraines or irregular heartbeats, muscle cramps, they all might be a product of the fact that we have this deficiency that we don't even know about. So, okay, why is magnesium so powerful? Well, the first thing, and this is probably the one that you've heard of because that's the one that I had heard of, was sleep. And magnesium is kind of like this natural chill pill, helps you sleep. It helps to activate what's called GABA, which is a neurotransmitter that relaxes your nervous system. And so this means that you get deeper and more restful sleep. And if you're constantly stressed or feeling anxious, magnesium can also help to regulate your body's stress response, which keeps you from burning out. And then I know athletes swear by it. And I know that I have my kids taking it, and I take it to help with muscle cramps and spasms. And it's crucial for heart health, helps to regulate blood pressure, prevent arrhythmias. But it helps with digestion issues because if you have an issue with digestion, like I do sometimes, magnesium can help. And it also helps with migraines or PMS or cramps. And it can be confusing because apparently not all magnesium is the same and not all magnesium supplements are the same. So if you want better sleep and relaxation, magnesium glycinate is the one you should. If digestion is your focus, magnesium citrate is a good option for you if you need an energy boost or muscle recovery or muscle support. Magnesium malate and L-threonate, it's for brain health and it's for memory. And then magnesium chloride is the one that you see in the sprays or baths or lotions. And I know it's a lot. I bought the wrong one the first time. But now I have landed on there's that brand Airy. Okay. It's funny because I've sent the link to a handful of people. And it's funny because I think that's the first time I've actually said the word out loud. Airy. It's Arrae. So I'm not even 100% sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly. But the first one I bought I don't even know what brand it was, but it was a different one of the magnesiums. It wasn't the one that I needed. And this Airy one is a blend. And so that's probably why it's so good because it's a blend of the different magnesiums. And then I've only recently started taking it with vitamin D and B6 because they say it's better for absorption. But I'm not certain if that will do anything different. I mean, it's already working really well. So I'm not really certain that will, but I am a rule follower and I read that it was suggested. So I had to follow the rules. And so now I am trying for better absorption. And then also, I have been using a magnesium spray on the soles of my feet before bed because they also say that the soles of your feet are the best place for absorption. Okay. And then the third thing that has gotten me through the dark, literally, it's gotten me through the dark and cold and democracy falling and the depths of despair is a happy light. Literally. I'm not kidding you. It's literally called a happy light. So even during the best of Januaries, I tend to have seasonal affective disorder, or that's sad. And I guess I'm like a plant. I require water and sunlight, and being dark at 5 p.m. thing is not my jam. So, I need the light. And I don't know why it took me until this winter to think of it or to do it. But, our bodies are designed to sync up with light, to sync up with natural light. And that sunlight, it helps to regulate our circadian rhythm. So, that internal clock that we all have, the ones that tell us when to wake up and when to wind down. And my body has just always been incredibly tuned into time. Like I can tell myself what time I need to wake up. And I mean, obviously I set an alarm or whatever, but 9 times out of 10, I wake up when I need to, like a couple minutes before or a minute before or right then. I just tend to. I can kind of tell you the time of day based on how I feel. And so when all of a sudden the sunlight goes away, I think that I get really impacted by it. And so the sunlight, it helps to boost our serotonin, that brain feel good chemical. It helps control our melatonin. So what makes us sleepy. And when we don't get enough natural light, like in the winter, or if we spend most of our time indoors, our mood and our energy and our sleep cycle, they all can feel it. And so that's where our light therapy comes in. Now, light therapy is exactly what it sounds like. It's using a specifically designed light in order to mimic natural sunlight and to give your body what it's kind of missing. Now, I bought mine on Amazon, and like I said, it's literally called a happy light, but the light can help to regulate your internal clock, improve your mood, increase your energy. And research says that it is one of the easiest and most effective ways to manage seasonal mood shifts without medication. But now, in order to get the most out of light therapy, you do need a specific light, and it's a 10,000 lux light box. And you're supposed to use it for at least 20 to 30 minutes every morning. And it should be like 16 to 24 inches from your face. And you can't stare directly at it. Obviously, that would be uncomfortable, but you do want it in your line of sight. And they say that the earlier in the day you use it, the better, because it helps to signal to your brain that it is daytime, and that kind of resets, I guess, your sleep wake cycle, and it can help you feel alert throughout the day. Now, I gave one to my mom and dad as well, and they're using it like that. She says that they put it on in the mornings and that it has been helping with them as well. I put mine, I have two of them. I have one in my bedroom, and that's also where I work out. And I have one on my desk. And so I put them on like in the morning, and then I just kind of leave them on all day. I'm not sitting in front of either one, but I'm spending time by each. And so I have found that to be really helpful. And I know I must have the urge to turn it off, like at when it's dark or whatever, like, oh, the sun's gone down, I should turn off my lamp. And then I'm like, oh, wait a minute, that would be ridiculous because the whole point is to have it when you don't have the sun. So anyway, I have found that putting it on in the morning and just kind of leaving it on, and in rooms that I'm sitting in or I'm walking through or where I work out and everything, has been incredibly helpful for me. Now, like me, people using light therapy notice better mood and better sleep and increased focus and more energy. They say within a few days or a couple of weeks. And I would say that that's really accurate. Like, honestly, I noticed it pretty much right away as well. And it's been shown to help with anxiety and depression. And I guess they say jet lag too, because it does help to regulate the body's natural rhythm. And so I'll be anxious next time we have a trip, like a jet laggy trip planned, that I will have to give that a try. And so, like I said, you can't use a regular lamp or a regular ceiling light. It doesn't work because you need that certain intensity, that right wavelength of light. And so you do have to look for something that's 10,000 lux. It's UV free. You want it to emit a cool white or a blue enriched light, because that mimics the actual daylight without, the UV exposure. So between my 14 or 15-hour fasts, my magnesium, and my happy light, I am just riding out the most winteriest of winters with a smile on my face. So Now, I do want to continue the second part of our conversation. As I said, I want to continue by talking about more mood issues, but shockingly, not our mood issues. My seasonal affective disorder is definitely coming from a lack of sunlight, but I know that there are other contributing factors. And it does play into why this has kind of always happened for me too, beyond just the seasonal affective disorder because of being on an academic calendar myself. Another one is this second semester blues. And I know that I do typically feel this, but I see my kids are feeling it, and my college freshman is seeing it, and they're seeing it in their friends, and they're even noting things that they're seeing to me. And I'm like, yep, that sounds about right. So maybe you have noted that your new college student, maybe you've noted that their mood has kind of shifted a bit this semester. And I don't mean like worrisome levels of shift. Obviously, those are kind of things you have to really pay attention to, but just that it's not quite where it was the first semester. Maybe they were once enthusiastic about the new academic year, and now they're kind of feeling a bit off. Maybe it's overshadowed by their wariness or dissatisfaction, or maybe it's your high schooler, especially if they're a senior who's dragging their feet and lacking motivation, saying things like, I don't want to go to school, or, do I really need to even do this? And maybe if it's an uncharacteristic amount that they're doing that. I mean, no one wants to go to school. Right. And no one really thinks they need to be doing this. But if it's an uncharacteristic amount, you might be kind of noting this. Now, let's talk about the top 10 reasons that your student may be struggling right now this second semester. And so we might as well start off with the one we've mentioned already. So, number one, I'd say for students in colder climates, I would start to say that, but we live in the South at the beach and we have it too. So, good old seasonal affective disorder, which I did already mention, but I probably should have clarified then that it is a form of depression that is caused by a lack of sunlight. And it can lead to fatigue and low motivation and a difficulty concentrating. And it comes from shorter days and gloomy weather. And so it can totally impact mood and energy level. And during the winter, any of us, but definitely students, may feel like they have less control over things. They may feel like they're struggling, and that makes them feel less competent. And it's cold and it's dark and there's less to do. So they may feel less of a connection because they're out doing less with other people. And so all of those things that have to do with the season definitely can do a number on their mood. Number two, one of the biggest reasons that students struggle in the second semester is academic fatigue. So, starting with your high school students, they have pressure that kind of mounts throughout the school year, whether it's their grade building up towards the end of the semester or a double semester class that things carry over, or their AP classes, their SATs, their ACTs, their college applications, or maybe feeling the aftermath of college applications. And then our college students, they, especially freshmen, they realize at this point that college is hard. It's a lot of work. And college work is relentless. And then there's those upperclassmen, and they are probably doing bigger projects like capstone projects and juggling internships and maybe even job searches. So there's a lot going on that has kind of been building up since August. Now, cognitive load theory suggests that when students are faced with too much information, like just information overload, it overwhelms their brain's ability to process it and to retain it. And by the time you get to the second semester, they're not just learning new material, they're also carrying over everything that they have already done. And so it does kind of give them this information overload, like there's too much for their brains to literally process. Number three, remember the energy that they had first semester when they had all of the excitement of new classes and new friendships and new experiences and the back to school excitement. Well, by January, all of that novelty has worn off. School starts to feel like like it's a grind day in and day out. They may even start asking themselves, is this worth my effort? Right? Am I even good at this? What's the point? And if they are college students, they might be seeing that absolutely. If they're college seniors, oh, totally, especially if they've already applied to colleges. That, it can look like in your high schoolers, they might seem like they're disengaged from their classes or from their extracurriculars. Things that they previously enjoyed, now they kind of feel like they're just done with. For college students, the excitement of being new on campus and coming back maybe, or being first time on campus, it's gone. That newness is gone. But most of them are still far from graduation. And if graduation is close, then that, of course, brings up an entire other set of concerns. And so this point in the year can make them feel all of that. Number four, by second semester, their friendships and their social dynamics have shifted. Friendships that maybe seem solid in the fall might start to drift. If they played sports in the fall, those relationships may have kind of fallen off. High school students, they might feel like they are missing out of things or feel like they are being left out of social groups. Some students at this point, because they're starting to maybe see the end of the year coming, or seniors who are getting their college acceptances in, or they might start aligning themselves with people who are going to be going to the same colleges or looking at the same ones that they are. They might start realigning. For college freshmen, they might have felt things kind of shift a little bit with their high school friends over break when they were at home, or maybe they faced an inevitable breakup with a long distance relationship, or they made initial friendships when they went to college. And that kind of came out of those early, I need to make friends and I need to meet people kind of days. And so that might kind of be fizzling off once they actually get to know each other. And upperclassmen, they may be starting to feel anxiety about their internships or their job prospects, or, comparing their achievements to their peers. Number five, and you're going to like this one. They miss us. They miss home. For college students, the reality of being away from home for this extended period of time, it kicks in harder the second semester. The excitement of their newfound independence and, just this growth and I'm an adult, it kind of fades away and homesickness comes back. And they don't see that it's going to be a short time until they get to be home again. And so they're really missing that comfort that they did then over break get to feel again. Number six, adjustment to independence. They're coping with responsibilities that they haven't had to face before, like finances and time management and their well-being. And all of this was kind of almost exciting at first for them because they were being an adult, but now they're starting to realize the responsibilities of adulting between balancing all these things and taking care of themselves. And then a lot of them aren't feeling well. I mean, the germs. There are so many germs this time of year. Everyone is sick and they might feel sick, and there's no one to take care of them anymore because they're off by themselves. And it's just not fun like they thought it was going to be, or fun like it was in the fall. And for seniors, either high school seniors or college seniors, that senioritis starts to sit in. And the stress then shifts to their post grad plans. And all of this can create a lot of anxiety for them about the future. And so that makes sense that number 7 is senioritis, that lack of motivation that hits high school students, high school seniors very hard. Now, we had an entire episode last year about senioritis and soiling the nest. And honestly, it was like the second most popular episode that we have had. So go check it out. I will add the link in the notes, but it was episode 118. But it's really important to look at this idea of feeling like they don't know what's expected of them at this point in time. And then this all kind of also fits into that stability change dialectic, that seniors feel ready for a change. But at the same time, they want to hold on to that stability that they know. They're like mentally they are checked out, but they feel the pressure of the impending change. They know that they need to finish strong, but they kind of feel like at this point nothing even matters. And this also can happen with college students who experience like that mix of excitement, but then also fear about what the next step means. And number 8, burnout. Burnout is real. I know that my kids are drained. And my college freshman, he jumped in with 2 feet. He went full throttle. He tried everything, went to every meeting, joined everything. I mean, I was so proud of how he really put himself into it. But burnout is real. Like at this point, students who are involved in a lot of extracurricular activities, they might really start to feel drained. Number 9, teens change, people change, and some might even be reevaluating themselves, their interests, their identities. What worked for them in that first semester, it might not fit for them in this semester now. They've grown. Their identity has grown too. They're not the same kid that they were in August. And especially those who we moved into dorms in August, they have changed a lot. They're not the same person. And these personal growth shifts or their shifts in their identity during this first semester, it can lead to like this going into it as a different person, a new person in the second semester. Their interests or their values, they just changed. And it might lead them to kind of be confused or reevaluate who they are or reevaluate their goals. And number 10. Number 10 is the world, especially in the US. It's a bit of a train wreck right now. And many of your teens, they are feeling these current events just as much and maybe even more, sometimes more than we are. The world is a lot more unsure for their future than it was for ours when we were that age. So we can't overlook just how much this uncertainty and how much the conflict that we have is impacting them. And then we know our family is a system. And so when one member of that family is stressed or is struggling or is withdrawing, it does impact the entire system. So not only do we have our own winter struggles, but we pick up on our teens' stress too. And we worry. And, sometimes we might even misinterpret their response as laziness or moodiness or defiance, but it's actually this kind of second semester blues, this surviving winter kind of thing that we all need to go through. So, what helps? Well, open communication. Communication, always the answer, every episode. But this open communication, being there to offer our support of them without pressuring them, because sometimes they need space to work through their emotions, and sometimes they need us to hold that space for them. And we need to validate their feelings. The slump that they are feeling right now is totally normal and it's totally real. And so validating that to them can only help. Encourage them to just kind of take a step back, maybe not do everything, encourage breaks, help them to manage that cognitive load that they have. Support them in their social connections that they're having, encourage them to have more low pressure social time. But just keep checking on them and keep checking on their mental health. Maybe get them to reflect on how far they've come, how much they have progressed, how they have grown as a person, and what they have already gotten through, and that this is just one more hurdle and it's a totally normal and totally natural one that we go through. And maybe get them on magnesium and maybe buy them a happy light. I think that that would be a good solution. They work for me. So thank you so much for listening today and always. If you've enjoyed the show, if it's resonated with you, if you've gotten something from it, please share it with your friends. That's how we will grow our community. Reach out to me on socials. It's Reframing Me everywhere. Until next time, be well and communicate.